What's up? So this video is made by Jim. He's going to talk about intermediate programming. He's a strength coach, also a powerlifting athlete. I've known him for a while. We have very similar views regarding training and nutrition, mostly because we follow the same people, so we end up having very similar ideals. And so he's going to talk about intermediate programming, and I made a video for his channel about water intake and also that should be thrown electrolytes. So watch my video on his channel, subscribe to his channel. Also, if you're looking for a coach, especially powerlifting, also consider him. He's quite cheap, quite affordable, and he's very knowledgeable. And so that's it. Enjoy his video and peace.
What's up guys, this is Jimmy with High Fly Fitness, and today we're going to be talking about the differences between novice and intermediate programming. Now the main difference between novice and intermediate programming is the ability to recover. Novices can recover every single time they go to the gym, and as a result they can get stronger every single time they go to the gym. Now if you can get stronger every single time you go to the gym, wouldn't it make sense to go to the gym as much as possible? Typically, yeah. So typically I would recommend somebody go to the gym 3 times a week because based on most of the scientific data, 2 to 3 times a week will maximize both the hypertrophy gains and the strength gains of an athlete. And now obviously there's going to be differences between the psychological variances between the individual and what they prefer to do. But if they can handle a full body split 3 times a week, they should do it because they will increase their squat by about 15 pounds per week if they're doing it correctly. Once they learn how to do it, they'll be able to increase their bench probably about 10 pounds per week, and then the deadlift about 10 to 20 pounds a week, depending on how they set it up. So another thing about the novice athlete is that they can do basically anything and make significant progress. So they can get away with doing starting strength, which is something I would recommend them do, or a variation of that. They can get away with doing 5-3-1, which is something I wouldn't recommend them to do because it's fairly an advanced program. As you can see in my previous video about it, you can do a lot of different things to make progress. You can do P90X and increase your squat and bench. You can start riding a bike and increase your squat. Especially if you're really a true novice. However, if you want to get the best results out of your novice stages, it would make the most sense to increase your weight every time you go to the gym and get stronger every time you go to the gym. Then what makes an intermediate athlete an intermediate athlete? As an intermediate athlete, you need to make sure that you're focusing on individual differences, specificity, and overall goals. So individual differences, what is that? That would be, say you're weak at the squat at the bottom of the lift. Your weakness on the bench press is that you stop in the middle of the lift. On the deadlift, you're really weak from the bottom. Another example of how individual differences could come into play in programming is how you prefer to lift and how you prefer to go to the gym and what motivates you individually. There's a lot that goes into individual differences. Form is one thing, weaknesses are another thing. Strengths are a really important thing. What are you really good at? What do you like doing? Are you really good at squatting? Do you want to get your squat up? Do you want to get your bench up? What are your goals? And that comes into specificity. Specificity is training to as close to the way you would train for your to maximize the results in your competition or in whatever specific sport or goal you have defined for yourself. So if you're a power lifter, then specificity would mean maximizing your squat, bench, and deadlifts and getting those numbers up to maximize your total at competition. If you're a bodybuilder, then specificity would mean training to get your muscles bigger. So if you have small shoulders, you do a lot more overhead pressing. If you have small lateral delts, do some more lateral raises. There's so many different things that you can do as an intermediate athlete that depend on specificity, and if you can define your goals, you'll have a much better time progressing. Something that does not change depending on your level of skill in the gym is increasing volume weekly. If you're not increasing your total volume over time, then you're not getting stronger and you're not progressing. It doesn't matter if your goal is hypertrophy, if your goal is strength training, just general strength training, getting stronger at everything, or powerlifting, or any of the sports specific goals as well, and you're not getting stronger, then you're not getting better at your sport, because you're not getting stronger doing the things that you want to do to succeed in based on those defined goals. And then lastly, specificity is really the primary difference, and that you can't really get away with fucking around as an intermediate athlete. You need to make sure you can't really get away with messing around as an intermediate athlete. You need to make sure that your programming addresses everything that's individual. You need to make sure that you write down your goals. What are they exactly? And make a program that addresses those. And it doesn't make sense as an intermediate athlete to follow a general strength template, because templates are made for the masses, not individuals. If they were, there'd be a lot better. A lot more people would be a lot stronger. And that's where the role of a coach comes into play. There's a very important thing to have a coach as a novice in the novice stage, but typically novices can learn pretty well on their own, as long as there's at least somebody helping them out, and maybe they don't need to pay a coach, but typically they need to make sure that their form is on point. As an intermediate athlete, you don't get that neural efficiency that you do as a novice athlete. You've already squatted, benched, and deadlifted probably hundreds of times by now, so you know how to do the movements, and now the coach is there to make sure that your programming is on point, make sure that everything you're doing is increasing your ability to perform at those defined goals. And there's really not that much else difference. The programming itself would be different, because as a novice it's going to be linear programming or linear progression, where you're increasing every time you go to the gym, you're increasing weight weekly or daily. As a novice or an intermediate, typically you increase your weight about every week or maybe every 2 weeks, depending on how far along you are in your fitness journey. But your recovery abilities drop, so something you can change up in your programming is change it from linear programming or linear periodization to non-linear periodization. An example of this would be the Texas method. The Texas method involves a day of volume, a day of recovery, and a day of intensity. So the volume day is at about 70% with rep ranges of about 5 to 6. Light day is about 50 to 60% intensity, and the rep ranges are 5 to 6. Rep ranges don't even really matter at that point, because your goal is to recover for that Friday workout. On the Friday workout, your goal is to maximize your strength on that day, and increase your 3 rep max or your 4 rep max or your 5 rep max. And that's really all that matters at that point. So the way that works is that you're changing things up. You add stimulus, you take away stimulus, you allow yourself to recover. You're just giving yourself different stimuli to progress, versus a linear progression program where it's not as linear. So there's many different things you can do as an intermediate athlete. There's a lot of different things that you can learn from, and I hope you guys have learned a lot from this, and I hope you guys understand the complexities that are involved with programming, and how you need to increase the complexity of your programming as you get more advanced, or you're simply not going to continue to progress. That's all I have to say to you guys. I encourage you all to rise from within. Tiago, I hope you like this video, all of your fans. I hope you learn from this. Peace.